Tyler said it in our group chat that Tom Thibodeau wears thin on teams, and there is some truth to that, to be sure. But I mean, I just, it boggles the mind. Like, what happened? Let's first off the bat, we're going to talk NBA Finals. The series is tied 1 game apiece. Game one, Halliburton did it again. Uh,
Yeah.
Last second dagger gets the W for Indiana. And then in game two, OKC, massive blowout. So yeah, the series is tied. So what did we really learn? Um, Indiana's not going to
Halliburton's for
go
real.
away. The Pacers are OKC learned the same lesson that all the teams in the East learned is Indiana is a pain in the ass. They're not going to go away easily on you. Uh,
Absolutely.
so if OKC truly did, build it, was it trust the process? Like what Philly tried to do. If OKC actually perfected it, they're gonna have to really lean into it and really trust this process because this is not going to be an easy out by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, Indiana
who's
did their
overrated,
job.
right?
They did their job. They stole game 1. They lose in game 2, but you come back home. You have a really good opportunity to maybe go up in this series, and you got a couple opportunities to close out OKC. Um, Halliburton has arrived, dude. He like elevated. We watched him out here a little bit when he was with Sacramento. I don't think any of us liked the Sacramento trade that brought Sabonis in and Halliburton out. I remember we talked about it. I don't remember any of us like
Yeah,
thinking like that was a trade that was going to put
w- w-
Sacramento over the top.
yeah,
Of anything, I thought you should have kept Halliburton just based on age and potential.
right.
But that's Sacramento. He's doing really good in Indiana. So now they look like geniuses for doing that. But
Hmm.
they also have a head coach that he's won before, and he's kind of won at I know he's won the championship before, but he always Rick Carlisle always has competitive teams, disciplined teams. And so I'm not really surprised that the Indiana Pacers are showing out right now. To be honest, with this coaching and Halliburton making that step, and just going God mode in a lot of these games, and the miracle shots, like you can't account for that. It's just it's a miracle shot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, obviously, game one was a huge story, and I think I just like all caps lock into our group chat, just like Hallie, like when he hit that dagger. Because oh my god, was that a thing? Like I couldn't believe he did it again. Like I literally turned into the Jesse Pinkman. He can't keep getting away with this. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, how many game-winning tying shots or whatever
in one place,
in this
in one playoff
in
season,
one playoff?
postseason.
It seems like
Yeah.
yeah, it seems
It's like
like
4 of
every
them, man, or
series
something like
he
that.
he did
Yeah.
something, so it's amazing. I have to say though, the ESPN broadcast with Bob Myers and Stephen A, like we love Bob Myers. I think for the most part he does a pretty good job when he's like actually speaking. But the broadcast, these guys from ESPN, did you hear this? Like they're just screaming over each other. Like there's no information coming out of it. It's totally just takes you out of the game. There's no substance to what they're saying, and it's just terrible that ESPN is putting. And this is not the first time, like, but they were literally screaming over each other. You could not hear anything during the halftime show. Did you catch this, Vince?
Um, no, 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 I didn't catch the halftime show.
So during the halftime show, right? First half is over, cuts the halftime show, and they're just showing the images of the court, right? They're just showing the finals logo and showing the court, and you just hear Stephen A. Smith, Bob Myers, and Perkins just yelling over each other. Like
Okay.
You could not hear what anybody is saying, and it's minutes. It's like 2 minutes of just it's
Just
just awful. It's
quality
just
airtime. Yeah.
awful. I
Yeah.
caught I watched it on the live, and then I was reading about it today and on, Awful Announcing, where they kinda highlight some of the comments on social media because I ain't on social media anymore, so I have
Mhm.
to go through news sites to show it to me,
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's just bad. When I was watching the game, I was like, "Oh my god, this is terrible." Like,
Yeah.
you cannot understand what they're saying or any substance. Game 2 was a blowout, so it wasn't
Yeah.
as entertaining. It was just
Right.
kinda
Yeah. I
over.
mean, yeah. At halftime, OKC was up 18. After three, they were up 19. They end up winning the game by 16. So yeah, it was just kind of just kind of got out to a big lead by halftime and kind of kept it there the rest of the way.
It just did not. I mean, the 16 feels close when you look at it on the score. That game felt
Yeah.
like
No.
30
It,
points away. It
yeah. It
just
was
did
never.
not.
Yeah. It looked a lot closer on the box score than what it really was the entire time. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, you just look at like these points, and if you look at any box score, it'll be bolded for the team that has the better of whatever, the better stat or whatever, and it's just OKC down the entire line is bolded the entire way. It's more rebounds, more offensive rebounds, more steals, fewer turnovers, more points in the paint,
Everything.
field goal
Everything.
percentage, 3-point percentage, field goals made. Obviously, you win by 19. It was 16 points. You're gonna have more buckets made, right? Fewer personal fouls, just basically everywhere. Uh, all across the stat sheet, they dominated. And SGA, he drops in 34 points and he's shooting. He shot over 50%. He was like what 52%, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and then he made all but one of his free throws. So he's the MVP. He did MVP things. Haliburton
Yeah.
only had 17 points in game two as well. So
Yeah, he
you
didn't
know,
have I mean, they didn't have a great game.
yeah, it's just
But, I mean, you're
yeah,
heading home. You're heading
yeah,
home. You got
you've got
opportunity to maybe to defend your home court. You go
exactly.
3-1
They
going back.
always say when you're the team going on the road first, right? You want to get a split, and that's what happened, right? They got
That's
their
what they
split,
did.
and and then now you get to come home and you try. You got a chance if you win both of these games at home. That is a massive hole that you put OKC in.
Absolutely.
And
So
of
who do you
course,
got
if
from here
yeah,
on out?
I still think OKC is gonna end up winning this series. You know what? I'm gonna call it right here. We're gonna get another split in Indiana, and then OKC is gonna win the last two games, games
Right.
5 and 6. That's what I got. I got OKC winning games 4, 5, and 6. How about that?
Remind me,
Indiana's
didn't
gonna win this one.
Tyler
Uh,
had OKC in 5,
I think so.
and then we had him in 6?
I believe so.
I think
Yeah.
we both had
Yeah.
OKC in 6.
Yeah. Yeah. I was putting a little. Yeah, we were putting a little more respect on Tyrese Haliburton's name.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if you watch him in these playoffs, I mean, you
Yeah.
got to, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I get so this coming schedule this week, you have a game on Wednesday, that's game 3, and then game 4 is on Friday. Game 5 will tip off basically right as we start recording on Monday, next Monday. So, we will know what kind of situation game 5 is. Is it the series tied, or is somebody trying to close out the series,
Right.
and that'll be a question for next week, obviously. But this is obviously it's a crucial game. Game threes, the odd number games are really turning points in the series, right?
Yeah.
So uh, if they're if it's tied 2 games apiece, and we're talking next week, like with it tied 2 apiece, this is game 5 becomes massive. Like that's
Yeah.
that's what it comes down to. Like game 5 could be.
I picked OKC to win just based on they got the MVP. They got Chet Holmgren. I mean, they're loaded, right? The process, they got all these draft picks and traded for guys and
Mhm,
more guys on the way with the draft capital. So we think that OKC is going to be a problem for a really long time. And I picked them to win the finals. I don't none of these teams are the dogs, and these aren't our dogs in the fight, you
no,
know.
yeah, yeah,
Um I'm not gonna lie, man. Part of me kind of hopes Indiana wins, even if that means
yeah,
I got my pick wrong. Just because like you're rooting for Tyrese Haliburton because of what he did in the playoffs as like the guy doing it. Because you don't really
mhm,
see that anymore, like the one guy just taking over and winning. So part of me is kind of rooting for Indiana just because of his story and this
mhm,
epic playoff run and the game winning shots and the game tying shots
mhm.
and
And then
just
the guy on the
dragging the team
sideline.
over like how do you not love that? So I'm kind of
Yeah, yeah,
rooting for Indiana now just because
yeah,
I want the story.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I get that, and I'm certainly not against it. I don't have like you said, we don't have a dog in this fight,
Right.
you know? I mean, I've never set foot in either of these states, let alone cities, you know?
Right.
So
Right. Absolutely.
doesn't matter to me. Like honestly, like I just want to see good games, you know. I just hope everybody has fun, you know. Like I'm going full team mom on this.
Absolutely.
All right.
All
So
right,
let's
brother. From these two dogs to the dirty dog that is the New York Knicks. What a dirty move. They
Tom Thibodeau
fire.
gets you.
Go ahead.
He's fired. He got them to the Eastern Conference Finals, and his thank you package includes a one-way ticket to the freaking door, man. He's out the door. He's fired. Tyler said it in our group chat that Tom Thibodeau wears thin on teams, and there is some truth to that to be
Yep.
sure, but I mean I just it boggles the mind, like what happened? Like how bad was it that he has the Knicks there? This is the furthest the Knicks have gotten in 25 years or something like that. Like, I mean,
I
we're
mean, this
talking
is
Latrell Sprewell was the last time.
since he's been hired, this is like the best what 3 year, 4 year run
Yeah,
he's been there what three since
3
20.
years, I think.
So you're
Something like
talking a
that.
3 year run, something like that, 3, 4 years, whatever it may be. It's been the best run they've been on in how many decades? In literally like 30 years. You know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Warriors great Latrell Sprewell was on the Knicks the last time they were this good, you know?
right. Yeah. But the thing is when you hired Thibodeau, when you hired him initially, the concerns that you had, him wearing on the teams, not relying on the bench, keeping his starting five in the game, not, relying on his superstars, not being super creative with the offense, but being a defensive team, a tough team. That the we knew who he was coming in. So to say that like all of a sudden that's not what we need anymore. Like, I don't know. That's kind of the coach who that's who he is. And he's not I don't think he's lied about it. I don't think he's like there's any, falsifying who he was. It just seems like he earned at the very least another season to see what happens. And based on the interviews after the fact and the comments after the fact, it doesn't seem like it was Jalen Brunson saying, "Get this guy out of here." From what I read, it was ownership that said, "No, no, 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 no." Like everybody else, players, from what I'm reading, it seemed like even though he's a tough coach and a hard nosed coach, they kind of embrace that mentality, and
Yeah.
it kind of showed up on the court in certain things. I think when they made the trade for Bridges, I think I know we were all like, "Damn." But I do think the team lost something getting rid of Dante DiVincenzo. I feel like they were a better team last year, and I know they had some injury stuff and other things going on. But at the very least, you still got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and if it wasn't for a crazy run by Halliburton, you probably advance. I still don't think they were good enough to beat OKC. Um, but the bottom line, I think Tom Thibodeau, deserved one more season because again, who are you going to get that's better right now, a better coach?
Honestly, well, let's talk about just quickly who's available. They haven't officially, as of yet, officially inquired to asked to interview Jason Kidd, but it sounds like the rumblings is they want to ask him. The problem is he's still got 2 years left on his
Yeah.
Dallas contract, so I don't necessarily see that that's gonna happen. Although Jason Kidd could still be pissed off about the Doncic trade. Although getting the number one overall pick, that's probably going to help heal that wound a little bit. So who knows on that? Okay, so then let's see who else. We got Mike Malone, who was fired from Denver.
I
Uh,
think he's too similar to
yeah,
Tibbs though.
yeah. I agree. Taylor Jenkins. That's another one. I mean, these guys all kind of rhyme. Mike Brown, Darvin Ham, I guess. Yeah, these guys are they're all, good coaches, solid coaches, guys that, have experience to have,
You ain't gonna throw Mark
won
Jackson
some
up in
playoff
there?
games. Maybe Mark Jackson too. Mark Jackson even got the Warriors into the playoffs a couple of
Yeah.
seasons as well. Um, um,
It's
I
interesting that he never got a second chance to coach anywhere. Like,
yeah,
I
has he
mean,
even
say what
gotten
you
interviews? Like,
that's what I'm saying. Say what you want about certain things, how he conducted himself. Like, he was not wrong when he said this is going to be the best shooting backcourt. He was right.
mhm,
He got the Warriors to play defense.
yep,
He was the coach that installed the defense and Kerr installed the offense and they go on their run. But I'm I wasn't the biggest fan of Mark Jackson as a head coach
right,
just because there were certain things like in the interviews and the offense was stagnant and there was just no
yeah,
movement, right? And we saw the NBA before Steve Kerr came here, we saw that the NBA was changing. There was more movement. There was a lot of things changing.
yeah,
And we saw as Warriors fans, it was like very stagnant. And I think we all we like Mark Jackson for like winning and the defense and getting to the playoffs. But I don't think any Warriors fan really believed that we were going to go to the next level with Mark Jackson.
no.
However, I'm still surprised that he didn't even get like interviews or opportunities to coach in the NBA.
Yeah, and to Steve Kerr's credit, like in that first season as head coach,
He credited Mark
he
Jackson.
he was giving stick taps to Mark Jackson often,
Yeah.
as well for at least
Yeah.
laying the groundwork. So
Absolutely.
so I mean, I feel like there's no ill will, at least not
No.
here,
No,
and
no.
I and
I did hear
we're a decade past this now at this point. So
I did hear on the radio, the local radio here, they played some East Coast guys going full tinfoil hat that the Knicks and the Warriors are gonna work out a trade for Steve Kerr. It's like,
sure,
not gonna happen.
sure, guys, yeah, okay. Right on. Anyway, okay, so yeah, the whole firing of Tibbs, it does not make sense to me. I don't,
Yeah.
and the available candidates, I don't think any of them are necessarily an upgrade over him either. So I just the timing is weird. The structure. Did you hear? He dirt daily a buck short. Oh, sorry. Uh, I'm not a good enough singer. I don't think we'll get copyright struck on
I
that.
doubt it.
We're fine. All right. With that, I think anything else NBA or let's move on to the W. I guess we can talk Valkyries. They on Thursday they lose to the Phoenix Mercury. They had an 8-point lead with about 3 minutes and 13 seconds remaining, but Phoenix closed the game out from that point on an 18-1 run. They didn't make a shot in the final 4 minutes. 19 turnovers led to 20 Phoenix points. Phoenix was also missing three starters in Alyssa Thomas with a calf injury, Kalea Cooper with a knee, and Natasha Mack with a back. And they were starting three rookies in their place. So overall, was that was a bad one to lose. They had an opportunity to pick up a W, and it did not happen. uh, Natalie Nakasi, the head coach of the Valkyrie, I'm sure uh, she went into the lab and she figured it out because they come back on Saturday and the Valkyries had their most impressive W ever. And it's always fun when you can say stuff like that because there's only been 7 games in their career in their existence, but
Yeah.
they get their biggest blowout win in franchise history. They led the entire game over the Las Vegas Aces. End up getting a 27-point win as the final, 95-68 on Saturday. The highest lead was 29 points. They end up winning by 27, it looks like, I think. Three players had double doubles. Monique Billings had 14 points and 11 rebounds. Kayla Thornton, who was kind of a defensive specialist, but she's had like 5 games in a row with double digit points. She goes 22 points for a career high and 11 rebounds. And Veronica Burton had 14 points and 12 assists. Also, four home games so far this season, 4 sellouts crowds. So the fans are showing up. They're currently fifth in the NBA Western Conference. They are 3 wins, 5 losses. So they're right there. They're making things interesting. They play pretty good defense. They just had a really tough bit of the schedule. They had to play the defending champions New York Liberty twice, and then they followed that up with the Lynx last week, and then this past week you had it was tough quality teams, but they're coming out of that now. And
Yeah.
upcoming schedule, you got the Sparks and the Storm coming up. The
I'll tell you,
Sparks,
Vince, they're way more competitive than I expected being
oh yeah,
a team that came from nothing. They didn't get the number 1 overall pick.
hmm
Um, they didn't get the top 3 pick. Where were they? Number 4 or 5?
5. They were 5. Yeah, they drafted
So,
5, and your
you
number
know
5 overall pick is stayed in Europe as well.
right,
To play this year. So
right.
they won't
So
even see her till next season.
and they didn't in free agency, they weren't really willing to go and get superstars. One, because we
Well,
know the
yeah.
collective bargain agreement thing is gonna be changing next year, so we knew that. You know, eh, they look way more competitive than what I expected. So I'm
They're
I'm I'm
playing.
appreciative, very thankful, and that to me shows that they got good coaches, that their
Mhm.
coach that they the selection draft, from other teams that they put together some pieces.
Yeah.
They understand that they're not gonna compete for the championship right now, but they wanted to get some players that would be, you know,
Mhm.
good additions to the franchise and get them started. So it looks like they're being well coached
Mhm.
and there's a plan. Because they are in this weird spot of like a new team. You don't get the number 1 pick. You don't have your 5th overall pick. You didn't get superstar free agents, so there's a lot of things to work through. But I think next season you can really make a big leap because those things will now be open to you,
Oh, yeah.
depending on where you end up in the draft and then depending on who you can get in free agency. So
Right. Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
excited.
I guess they're buying in. The players are
Yeah.
buying in, like, defense travels, right?
Yeah.
Like they play, when they're not playing the number 1 team, top end undefeated teams, both the Liberty and the Minnesota Lynx, they're both undefeated still, 9-0 and 8-0 respectively.
Yeah.
Uh when they're not playing those teams, they are actually 3-2, you know? You take those 3 losses out, you're 3-2 against everybody else. And that's way better than I would have hoped for from an expansion team. They play a really solid defense, like we've said. They get a lot of buy-in. You've got players like Kate Martin coming off of the bench and is getting career highs in points, and she's like hitting threes like she's supposed to, being an energy player off the bench. Kayla Thornton, we just talked about her. She's suddenly an offensive threat out of nowhere when she was supposed to be a defensive specialist. So that's great, and I love seeing just how this is developing. I'm excited to see how it plays out the rest of the year, and can they sneak into the playoffs? The opportunity is there. You're only about a game and a half out, I think, of the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. You're a game and a half out right now. It's obviously still early in the season. You're only 8 games in. Uh, the Storm are in fourth right now. You're in fifth in the West, so they're right in front of you. You're playing them this week. The Sparks are in sixth. They're right behind you. They're only half a game behind you. So, and you're playing them tonight. Actually, that game tips off in about an hour. So, you got an opportunity to play the teams that are right around you in the standings, and maybe put some distance between you and them, or close the gap a little bit. So it were.
And I'm looking
So
at the free agent list for next season.
mhm.
Everyone's a free agent.
Yeah,
Everyone.
yeah, everybody set up their contracts to do this. We talked about it several times
Yeah.
leading up, knowing like just us kind of like get familiarizing ourselves with the W, and then just seeing how the 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 collective bargaining was coming up, and how all of this was setting up, and just we're jumping in at a really exciting time.
Yeah.
And not only that, there's going to be 24 more jobs available in the W next season as well, because you
Yeah.
have two expansion teams joining as to start next year in
Absolutely.
Toronto and Portland. So a lot of
Vince,
these players,
I
yeah,
said it. I said it in the offseason. You gotta you gotta bring Sabrina Ionesco to the Valkyrie, dude. You
bring her
just
home.
gotta pay. You just do it. I know she's
Yeah,
in New York right now. Bring her home.
yeah.
You know, her
Yeah,
and
go full
Steph.
Jean Valjean and bring her home.
Absolutely, dude. I mean that to me is like the superstar play. The is really good. The crossover with her and Steph and the Golden State Warriors and the Valkyries would just be amazing.
Oh yeah, the
So that's what I'm hoping
commercials,
for.
the
Yeah, I
marketing.
just
Oh my god. Joe
yeah,
Lacob would be like, "Oh, the opportunities."
I'm telling you, man,
Anyway,
it's gonna
yeah,
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
okay. Yeah, so this is really exciting time.